Virginia?
I'm in Richmond, yeah.
Cool.
So are you getting this oppressive heat?
You know it. It's 100 degrees. That's why I'm outside.
Yeah, today's supposed to be 110 here with the heat, with the humidity.
I love it.
I
I'm
do too.
feeling
I'm
it.
a huge heat fan. I can't stand the winter, so I'll take this any time of the year.
I've got a son that lives in California and Southern Cal, and it's all the same all the time.
Yeah.
And I get a little antsy with that. I grew up in the Northeast, so I'm used to the seasons. I like all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Fair enough. So anyway, thank you for taking the time. Let's just start here. For those not familiar with Wax Mechanics, can you give us the, I don't know, 2 sentence, 3 sentence elevator boardroom pitch?
Sure. Uh, my foundation is heavy rock. I'm originally a member of a cult rock band from the 80s called Nitro. We're not talking about the glam guys from LA. We're talking about the America's response to the new wave of British heavy metal. We were
Yeah.
relatively small and didn't get to the Metallica size, but think that. So as Metallica was starting out with that sort of heavy thrash, denim and leather response to the new wave of British heavy metal, so were we.
Yeah.
I'm doing some solo stuff now, have been for the past decade at least, and I think that's why I'm here.
Beautiful. So one of the things I like to do on the show is stay away from the traditional where the name of the band come from. So I put together some seemingly off the wall questions, but I think they're going to lead to good conversation. So hopefully you play along. Your description of 420 is a kaleidoscope journey through decades of pop culture and musical evolution. If you could physically time travel and play 420 for one of the Saturday morning cartoons you grew up idolizing, who would it be and what conversation would you hope to spark?
Well, it'd be Scooby-Doo for sure. So I'm a big fan and grew up on that, and that stuff's in my DNA. So conversations. Well, I'd certainly love to talk with Velma. Velma was my flavor. So I'd like
Is
to
it
have a
that
deep
nerdiness?
conversation with. You know it is. Yeah. I'm an engineer by training, so I love those
Oh
nerdy
yeah,
chicks.
she's definitely right up that alley. What's been the response to 420 so far? Has it been pretty good?
Yeah, I've been cultivating this audience, and they expected a certain thing out of me, and I've been switching it up a little bit. And this one was a little bit different than the records I've made since about 2020, and it's been pretty positive. So not anything manipulative or deliberate. I'm kind of following the tunes where they want to go. People have been responding positively to it because I think we set a tone that, if you're going to be interested in what I'm doing, get ready for a bit of a roller coaster ride.
Right. So in an era where content is disposable as ever, do you think today's rapid fire media landscape is creating a new generation of brainworms? And how might that shape your music?
Oh yeah, this term brainworm is really important, especially now on social media. It meant
Yeah.
something different to us growing up in the '60s and the '70s and the '80s. But it's the same approach. Let's get something that doesn't take a lot of effort, that sort of sticks, and that will resonate with people. So I'm not out to cultivate that kind of thing, but I'm a product of it, and I respond to it in the same way as anybody else. Social media certainly does that. Those people that are sophisticated will, I guess, take it for what it is, which is, hey, this is our media landscape, and we need to take it in and synthesize it like we do everything else, and let's not let it dominate our lives. Some people will fall prey to it. Other people will flourish.
Do you concern yourself with trying to stay above all the noise that's out there, or are you just doing your thing and hope people catch on?
The latter, simply because it's easier. And at this point in my career, I find that it gives me a better experience and frankly gives my audience, if there is such a thing, a better experience. When I go to artists, I want to know what they're synthesizing and sending back. I'm not interested in dictating to them. A good example is, I grew up with people like, and following, the classic typical stuff like Bob Dylan and Neil Young. I'm not about to tell those guys, hey man, I want another record that's like Harvest. Give me that. I'm interested in what Neil has to say at any point in time. So that's how I kind of approach my thing. It's worked really well. I'm not interested in, uh, overthinking it because it is art. And I think that, art is, like uh, an intuitive response by artists. I really like artists that do that. Show me what you're feeling. Don't overthink it. Give it to me. I don't want anything pretentious or calculated. I come to art for that reason. So I've always been that kind of artist, I guess.
Okay. How do you reconcile the playful, almost childlike nostalgia of Saturday morning TV with the rebellious counterculture of the stoner rock and punk scene?
Oh, well, I think that those scenes were forged by the people that were weaned on uh, that stuff that I'm describing in 420 that we're talking about. So I don't think they can get away from it. I think it is a product of, and I use this word synthesis. We're taking in all these influences. I think that's a big part of it. It was edgy, it was groundbreaking, even in the 60s and the 70s with all that media that was coming at us. And I think that we've been successful in bringing that to the art forms that we put out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. But is there a deeper commentary here about the duality of innocence and rebellion in American pop culture, you think?
Oh yeah, sure. We're slaves to media and whatever it is that we're consuming, whether it's art or politics or sports or business. So there's been a great duality to how people retain their playfulness and childlike behavior while they kind of pursue grown-up themes. How does that land? So I've always felt that there was two sides to the way that I approached my work and my life, and part of it was this childlike wonder and sense of playfulness and almost follow the leader. And then there was purpose and let's equip ourselves with education, information, and mindfulness. So there's a duality to it. Does that help us get where we want to go?
Yeah, I think so. I think when done right, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to. I think there's a balance there. I've always tried to strike that. It served me and my family well when we embrace both of those. We call it, it's a cliche, but it's a work and a play balance. I'm going to work hard. Damn it, I'm going to play hard too. And I'm going to try to retain, who was it that said, raging against the dying of the light? I like being an adult, but boy, do I like to tap into that childlike sense of wonder and experimentation and free form that I've always done as a child. So when I tap into that, that's when I feel at my best.
So here's a question for you, and I'm your age or somewhere around your age, so I could probably say this. We're all of a certain age, right? We're older. Do you find it more freeing now that you're older and not really giving a shit and just doing your thing? Because I know I do. I'm doing this now and I don't really have any confines because honestly, I love my listeners. So whoever's listening, but I really don't give a fuck. I'm doing this for me. This is what I love to do. And I hope everybody takes the ride. But I feel so free at this point. Like I want to try different things. I want to experiment. And I don't know if it's because like all the kids are out and, I'm reinventing I don't know because I've never been here, obviously. But are you in that same sort of boat?
Bruce, I couldn't say it any better than that. I've had my professional career, I've had my artistic career, and I'm at the most liberated, most informed, most well equipped point in my creative life. I can't tell you how happy I am. Of course, a little more commercial success would be nice, but
Sure.
frankly, I really don't give a damn. I'm here to be and I know it sounds sort of artsy fartsy or maybe even pretentious, but I really feel like this. I've been doing this since, I'm in my 60s now. So
Right.
I've been doing this since I was, 10 years old, being creative in a conscious way. So I've been doing it all that time. Sometimes it was more meaningful or more, I should say, more thoughtful toward commercialism than it is now. That's not even really a concern at this point. I'm just trying to be the best artist I can be. And yeah, I agree. It is so liberating. I wouldn't change a thing. Of course, we'd all like to have a little more in our bank account, but
Oh, sure.
that really doesn't drive me. That doesn't drive me at all. So this is great. And the way you put it is perfect. And I feel exactly the same way.
Because I think like there's so many things going on like outside in our turbulent world, but also in life in general and all this other bullshit. And I mean, I got up this morning saying, you know what? I'm going to talk to 6, 7 people today, and I'm going to have a fucking blast, and it's going to be what I do. And if 5 people listen, 5,000 people listen, I'm doing it because I absolutely love it.
Yeah, there's no other reason. And on this side of the camera, you're a creative guy as well, so you know this feeling is that the reason we originally got into doing this when we were kids should be the same. Well, I shouldn't say that. For me, it's the same reason that I'm doing it now. It's because I need to do that. I need to tap into it. I need to be creative and expressive. And I really don't care what anybody else kind of thinks. To a certain extent, I do. It's nice to talk to you and have my work
Right.
heard and seen. But I've been doing it ever since I've been, like I said, 10 years old. And there are times when I would create and wouldn't show it to anybody. And other times I'm doing this kind of thing, which is beautiful. So love it.
Are you planning on taking this out on the road at all? I know it's difficult.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, short answer is yes. A big component of what I do is live performance. The way we're doing it now is a bit of fits and starts. Can't mount an American or European tour because it's not at that scale. So we play locally. I have a band. Sometimes I do a lot of busking, which is I'll write some stuff and then I'll go into Philadelphia or wherever I am around the world, and I travel around the world and I'll try the stuff out. And that is live without a net, man. That's guerrilla. If you've ever done that's really fun. I've got a band and we play periodically, but not as much as I'd like because of the things that you and I are talking about. We've got, it's mostly not so much logistics, but it's cost that's involved in that. So
Right.
short answer is, yeah, we're going to be doing more of it. And right now, I'm mostly focusing on busking.
Yeah, the musical climate is crazy because even big bands can't afford to, hit the road, and with all the gas prices, and now with
Yeah.
visa problems and people coming across this, the country or whatever from other countries, and it's definitely changed that way different than it was 10 years ago even.
Yeah. When I was playing with Nitro back in the 80s, I know that's a long ways back, but it was a little bit easier and you could just throw stuff into a van and take off and show up. And most of the time you'd be able to do that and, be able to get a bite to eat somewhere along the lines. Doing that now is really difficult if you're not of the Taylor Swift magnitude or the Metallica magnitude. Love those folks. Those people are
Oh
great that do
man,
it.
good for them. Right?
A lot
They
of
figured out
talent.
the secret
Yeah.
sauce. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, they're great artists.
Yes.
And second of all, is they've built a great team and sustainability. And this merging of art and commerce is really important. So, yeah, playing live, always interested in doing that. But I don't have any massive tour that's planned. That's where we're at.
Okay. A couple more for you if you don't mind.
Sure.
You mentioned wanting to tickle your amygdala with an earthworm. So, if you could commission a neuroscientist to analyze your brainwaves during 420, what emotional or cognitive responses would you hope to see?
Oh, glorious joyfulness, positivity. There's a cleansing that sort of happened with 420 for me. I had quite a bit of creative work that came that was a little bit focused and dark and serious. So it would be joy, happiness, positivity, and the cleansing to set me up for wherever I'm going next.
So, would you say the same then for same question, except instead of for you, for your listeners?
Yeah, I'm not uh I'm not assuming that I can tell them to do anything. I'm simply pleased that they're listening. If I could tell them something, yeah, I would say accept it as it was intended, which was with joy, happiness, positivity, and a sense of childlike behavior, childlike wonder, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's great. And I think when you approach it like that, without really any expectations, is when it becomes the most organic and relatable, maybe is the word.
Yeah, I think, the roles here are pretty well defined, at least in my perspective. Again, it's different for different folks. But the way that I approach it is, we've got this relationship, me and my listeners. I'm going to do the best I can to give you what I'm taking in, running through my prisms and giving back. I'm going to give it, with positivity, with, as much authenticity as I can. And you can take it however you want. we're living in the age of people drinking from a fire hose. You know, there are what, 300,000 songs released on Spotify every day. For
Yeah.
anybody to even listen to mine is just mind blowing. Just
And
drinking from a
everybody's
fire
got
hose.
30-second attention spans, right? They're just moving from one to the next to the next. And yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I appreciate that anybody listens. And it always is just thrilling as an artist that anybody does. There was a time when I wasn't, doing anything commercial and I had the opportunity with Electric Talent. And for a moment, for a split second, I thought, to what end? And then I banished that and said, because it's fun and because I'm an artist and that's what I do. And if somebody listens, that's great. And if somebody doesn't, that's cool also.
Yeah, yeah, whatever. You're creating
Yeah.
because you have to create, and then yeah, I get it.
Yep.
Different avenues, but still the same sort of thing, right? I've got to be doing something creative in my little world.
It's not a conscious effort. I mean, you're a creative guy, so it happens regardless of whether you do it in a thoughtful, conscious way. It just happens.
24/7, right? I'm like
Yeah.
forever going, oh, I should do this, or I should try this, or I should. Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
shut off.
Yeah, it never has, and I don't think it ever will. And it's some people see it as a blessing and a curse. I just see it as a blessing. The universe saying, "Hey, here, have this, have fun."
Yeah. Like I said,
That's what I'm doing.
circling back, especially now that, of a certain age where a lot of the
Yeah,
family responsibilities, I'm able to, pursue it and do more of what I want to do.
perfectly put, and that's exactly where I'm at with it. I've cultivated a whole different personal life that's enabled me to be the artist that I wanted. So, if there is a God or whatever the omniscient power in the universe is, I feel pretty blessed that I'm here doing this. It's great.
Yeah. So do you feel there's a timeout? I mean, do you see an out game because we're getting too old? I mean, too old, or is this something you do till the grave?
Every time I let that thought enter my mind, I think of two words: Bob Dylan.
Yeah. Yep.
Bob's just turned 84 a couple of weeks ago, and he's out on the tour with Willie Nelson. People may love him, people may hate him, but there is no denying that that man is a true artist that has stayed true to his art and that people have responded to it and that everybody in that ecosystem is happy about it.
Yeah.
That's where we can give all kinds of examples.
Oh,
Rolling
sure.
Stones,
Yeah.
Paul McCartney, whoever. Yeah, I don't really worry about it much. So whenever I start feeling like that, I think of Bob Dylan.
Yeah. I mean, I often say like I'll probably be doing this from the nursing home or something, while everybody else is playing rummy or something, I'm going to be in the corner talking to people just because it's what I do.
I tell my friends that, I don't collect stamps. I have lots of interests, Bruce. Don't get me wrong. But I don't collect stamps. I don't golf. I have other things I like to do. This is just one of those things I like to do. So my buddies are on the tennis court or playing pickleball or, whatever they're doing numismatic stuff. And I do this.
Yep.
It's a lot of
Fair
fun.
enough. So if you're stranded on a deserted island, can take 3 records with you for eternity, assuming you've got some solar powered thing, what are they going to be?
First would be Revolver by the Beatles. Second would be an album by this really obtuse avant-garde artist. He does new age music. His name is Otmar Liebert. He has an album called Nouveau Flamenco. And then the final one would be Blonde on Blonde by Bob Dylan.
Nice. And if you could go back and speak to any musician, or if you could speak to any musician, dead or alive, 10 minutes sitting on park bench, who would it be?
I'm going to do 2 of those if that's okay, because
whatever.
they're 2 ends of the spectrum and they both resonate with me in the same way. And I just got chills thinking about it because this is how much it means to me. And if people will appreciate this. First would be March 19, 1982. I'd be in Leesburg, Florida. I would be standing outside the tour bus. And as Randy Rhoads walked out the door to get on that plane, I would say, Randy, let's go back in and let's have a chat.
That's funny you mentioned that because that's number 1 on my list. If I was going to tell you that,
yeah.
Randy Rhoads would be number 1 on my list.
Bruce, my hair is literally standing on end just thinking about the possibilities.
Yeah.
I am a huge Randy Rhoads fan. I understand the universe works in certain ways and I will accept it, but that's a tough one. And the other one would be, I would be at the Hit Factory in New York.
I used to work there.
Really?
I was an engineer. I was an engineer there for years.
Were you working there in 1980?
No, 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 no. I was there
That's where I would be.
88 to 92. Well, 88 to
Congratulations.
90 at the Hit Factory, and then I moved to Soundtrack, which was right down the block.
Oh man, love that. I'm a trained recording engineer as well from the great Full Sail in Florida.
Mm.
So I did that in the early 80s. So I don't know if you did any of that training, but that stuff was great.
I did not. My training was hands-on internship at the Hit Factory, and it was, I say hands-on. It was Troy bringing his Corvette up into the freight elevator, and he'd spend Fridays, waxing and detailing it. That was how the internship worked back then. But
Man, if
it
you
is
don't
what
like
it
that
is.
sort of grooviness, you should have been a lawyer.
Yeah. But what ended up happening is, the deal with that is you put in your 10 hours to 12 hours, and then you were able to use the rooms, to learn. And man, how do you pass up, learning on the console, the 8068 that John Lennon worked on in Studio B or something? It's crazy.
That's where I was going for my second one. I would be there in the Hit Factory. Maybe I'm cleaning the bathrooms as a janitor. At that age, I'd have been 18. I'd have said, Mr. Lennon, love your work, respect you. Would you please not go home right now? Would you please stay
Yeah.
here? And tell me a little bit about this. Can you imagine what we would get? I mean, Paul McCartney has lived to be a ripe old 83. Can you imagine a John Lennon at 80, at 83, 84? Well, he's older than Paul, but yeah, those two, Randy Rhoads and John Lennon, that kind of sums up where my input has been from. I love the ferociousness of Randy Rhoads and the beauty and
Yes.
of his mastery of his instruments and his commitment to the art. And then
Tone.
there was,
The tone is insane because I don't think anybody, I know people can get close. I don't think you're getting that tone and feel that he had.
comes from there and it comes from here.
Yeah.
There's only one Randy Rhoads.
You listen to Diary of a Madman, and I get chills listening to that record. It's that good.
Yeah, that's one of my would be in my top 10 of Desert Island discs. That's perfect. Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman are perfect. Just as perfect as is Sergeant Pepper and Revolver and The Rubber Soul, at least that's my opinion. Yeah, Randy Rhoads and John Lennon. If I could talk to those two, I would say, please, guys, give me a few minutes. Let's dodge this bullet, literally and figuratively.
Literally, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Quick little Hit Factory story. First day on the intern job, I get to work, and the receptionist says, "I need you to jump in this cab. Here's some cab money. Go up to Central Park East, and you're going to help this client move into an apartment they're going to be recording here for the next couple months." I'm 17. I get in the cab, drive all the way up to get out of the vehicle, and there's Donald Fagen and Walter Becker sitting on the porch with a U-Haul out front.
Gaucho's in my top 10, brother, and Asia's in my top 10 as well. Wow.
Yep.
Love
Yeah, it was literally day one. I helped them move into their apartment in Central Park, whatever, East or I don't remember. But yeah, so they could come record.
Don's a bit of a curmudgeon, but God bless him.
Yeah, I mean, he was fine, whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I didn't know any better. I was 17 and really not a Steely Dan fan. I knew who they were, but
yeah,
looking
that's
back
awesome.
now, I'm like, that's a pretty cool story.
I'm not worthy.
Anyway, we're coming to the end here. If fans want to find you, how do they do so? Can you give us your socials and all that kind of stuff?
Really simple. Yeah. Everybody's got Linktree. I'm Linktree/Wax Mekanix, WAXMEKANIX. Find me there. Google me. Everybody knows how to use the internet these days.
Yeah.
So I put everything there. Anybody that wants to pay attention to me, I'm thrilled. I'm delighted. And my best work is ahead of me, brother.
My friend, I appreciate you taking the time.
Brother, we need to talk some more casually. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. I'm about 2 weeks out on posting, so I'll let you know when it's up.
Whatever I can do to help make your work successful, I'm here. You just let me know.
Same thing. All right. Be well, my friend. Take care.
Stay well, man.
Yep, you too. Cheers.
Bye-bye.